NGHIEM'S Fairy Tales. NGHIEM's Fairy Tales.
Hey, welcome to NGHIEM'S Fairy Tales, episode 1. My name is James Nim. You might remember me from my live show called NGHIEM'S Fairy Tales. It was a ripoff of the Moth's storytelling shows where we'd have a theme and talk to people about specific things. This is a podcast form of that. I'll be doing it periodically throughout this pandemic. The current theme is I Used to Be. So I'm here with my friend BradChad Porter talking about all the things that it used to be. BradChad, say what's up.
Hey, what's happening?
To me, BradChad is one of my favorite comedians in the city. He's formerly a bar owner pretty recently.
Recently former.
Maybe you can get into that. What do you consider yourself?
Right now, I am gainfully unemployed. I've been spending a lot of time lying on my side watching Netflix, staring at the ceiling in my apartment, slowly losing everything. But until recently, we owned the Paramount Room in Oklahoma City.
What was that? Can you explain that to people who probably aren't familiar?
Yeah, the Paramount Room was an entertainment venue and a private event space. So it was the worst business to be in during a global pandemic. Everything we did required months of planning to put people in, like, large number of people in a small space. Literally, the only worst business during a pandemic would have been if I owned and operated an actual kissing booth. Like, that would be the only way to be less prepared for what happened than what we were doing.
It's really kind of a bummer because I don't know if you guys listening have ever been to the Paramount Room or ever got to go to it when Brad and his homies were running it.
Yeah.
But it was really like kind of turning it into something special.
It was. My partner Jeremiah Holland was very, 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 very good at booking music and was very plugged into the local music scene. And so we were able to do some really amazing things, both with comedy and music. And then, you know, we got to celebrate a lot of people's birthdays and weddings and.
I don't really give a shit about the weddings or birthdays.
Sure,
which sounds
sure.
terrible.
Nobody
Look, I'm
does.
glad they happened, but to me, like Oklahoma City, like I'm from Oklahoma City, and comedy's always been really important to me. And like this year or the previous year, leading into this terrible year, Oklahoma City finally had like 3 comedy clubs. Like Looney Bin had been around for basically, I don't know, 13 years at this point, 12, 15. I don't really know.
Yeah, I think it's actually 18 years.
18 years.
I think they moved in 2002, if I remember right.
So the Looney Bin had been here, kind of like a staple of the city. Only comedy club in the city for a very long time. Only one that has been run kind of well.
Sure, yeah, right.
And
yeah.
then from Spokane, Washington, I think, Bricktown Comedy Club showed up, and they're bringing in different kinds of acts. And outside of that, we got Brad, who is kind of the man when it comes to comedy around this city.
We were bringing in everybody else.
Yeah.
Like the Looney Bin covered a certain kind of comic, and then the Bricktown Comedy Club covered a certain kind of comic, and then we were kind of bringing in everybody else at the Paramount Room.
Can you name some? Your favorites?
Yeah, I mean, we did a show. We did shows with Todd Barry, Brian Posehn, Jen Kirkman, Kyle Kinane. You know,
in this weird event, wedding, birthday space. And
that's
it was
right.
like kind
that's
of
right.
my favorite thing. And that's why I kind of called you. That's not why I kind of called you. Like literally this podcast for me, it's not, I don't really plan on this being very good, even though it might be.
You never do. Everything you do, you're like, okay, guys, this is going to suck. Like, this whole thing is going to be stupid. But if you guys would show up and then you show up to whatever you're doing, and it's kind of the coolest thing in town. So,
man, if this
so
turns
you
into
do
that
you.
too.
I used to try to correct you. I used to be like, come on, man. This isn't stupid. This is going to be great.
This is literally just so I can hang out with Brad today. So
this is the first time I've seen you since March 12th.
what did we do on March 12th?
That was the last day we were open.
Oh, fuck. Oh, really? I saw you on your last day?
Yeah, yes. Well, I guess I saw you March 11th. You were there the night before.
I don't even remember that. What was I doing? I was probably sad about something.
Matt Rainey had his open mic at the bar. And I don't think you did the open mic, but I think you stopped in before.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's weird. I was probably just in my head, which I am a lot, which is the way I make art. So that's why we're here today. Okay,
that's what this is.
The name of this theme for the next couple episodes, I'm going to be calling in some of my favorite people to talk about things they used to be. Mainly, I'm kind of curating the show so I kind of know the things like interesting people around the city used to be. Like I know what they used to be. So I called Brad here today to talk about one of the many things he used to be. He's been a lot of things, but one of the funniest things I think he used to be was a Christian mime.
That's right. I was a Christian mime. There's not a way to explain that's going to make you feel better about it. I just was. That's one of the things that I was once.
Okay. I was supposed to like sit down earlier yesterday and kind of write questions for you, but like I'm just gonna freestyle it off the top of my head.
Yeah, let's do it.
How did you get into that? Like,
how does one get into find himself
in Christian mimery,
painting his face white?
Yeah.
There's not a. I mean, there's nothing really inherently interesting about it. When I was a kid, about 16, I started going to church. I had a little church in Stratford, Oklahoma, and I started dating a girl there, which kept me in church for long enough for me to, make some changes to my life. And I became, that's what I did. I went into ministry. I went to college, started college in 1997 to study to be a minister. And when I was going to school, one of the things that I did was join a drama class.
Okay, so hold up. You became a minister to impress a girl.
Okay, I didn't do it to impress the girl. That would be silly. Like the rest of the story doesn't move on to immediately become very silly. I started going to the church because of, with friends, and then I met a girl there, and then that caused me to stay in the church for several years.
Okay.
And then by the time I had been there for a while, I kind of tricked myself into believing that I was going to be a minister. And I was for 12 years. But for 8 years as a youth and associate pastor, and then 4 years as a senior pastor.
That's amazing. I don't know a lot about Christianity, so those numbers don't really mean that much to me, or those titles. But
right.
It sounds like
Fair enough.
Were
it was in it.
A mayor of a small town of Christianity. I don't know.
I was chief of a small fiefdom of people.
Okay, so I know how the story kind of ends, or I know where I want it to end because you've told me the story in the past.
So I joined in college. I was going to Bible college and studying to be a minister, and I joined what they call it a drama team, but it's like a acting class that goes out and does stuff. So we would go into churches and do sketches, and do sketch comedy, but Bible sketch comedy.
Yeah.
And then we would do street ministry, and on the street sketches don't really work, so we were mimes. I learned how to be a mime. I was a Christian mime, and the group was called Sold Out. SOULED out.
Who made that name?
I don't know. It's been around for, at the time, they don't exist anymore, but at the time it had been around for years.
So you were one of the last members.
I was,
of
actually.
One of the most premier Christian mime groups. And
I don't know. I mean, I think the answer to that question might be yes, but only because how big a pool is that? How many people could possibly be doing it? I think it was kind of a thing of the 80s and 90s in church. And then by the time I was doing it in the late 90s, there wouldn't have been very many of us around.
I feel like you come in at the tail end of a lot of things.
Yes, I do.
You became a comedy club owner, a pretty good one at that, in an era where comedy clubs aren't the healthiest, right before a pandemic.
I like to do a thing where I work really hard on something for a decade, and just when it starts to work, I quit. Walk away from it.
Okay, so you probably got pretty good at being a Christian mime then.
I was not bad at being. I will say that I was not bad. I don't have the joint strength to do any of that anymore, but I could show you now if I had maintained a physical prowess for it. I like it. Yes, I learned
does-
all the real mime shit.
Does being a mime?
learned the rules.
Well, I guess like being a Christian mime and being a mime are probably pretty similar. I mean,
Well, you have to learn to be a mime, and then Christian that up. Like you have to do. Yeah, you have to do the real thing first, and then you have to ruin it with the Bible stuff.
I feel like that's like the opposite of what Christianity is. I mean, not like that's not what Christianity is, but like the way the church works is like church things come first and then mime things. But you're telling me,
I'm telling you
to
that
become-
I started by learning how to be a mime,
yeah,
and then so I learned all the rules. I learned what the makeup means. I learned you can't talk when you have your gloves on, but if I don't have my gloves on, I can say whatever I want to, that's a misconception.
I don't know any of this.
Yeah, if you're wearing gloves, it means you're performing, and you don't, you can't, you're not allowed to speak.
It's like a wedding ring for the art. Don't try to interrupt my marriage with my art right now. You see my gloves on my hands.
But if I don't have my gloves on, it means I'm not performing, and it's like being off the clock.
Yeah.
I'm not married anymore. We can fuck.
Yeah, I can talk. Talking is the fucking of mimery. Is mimery a word?
That's the name of this episode.
Talking is the fucking of mimery. Okay, so did you like it? That's a simple question, I think.
Yes. I've always been sort of drawn to performance art, and it's a legitimate thing. I know it's a joke because people are. I don't even know if people are annoyed by mimes as much as they've never run into one, and it's always been a joke to be annoyed by mimes. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, but it's hard to act. It's super hard, and it's super challenging, and therefore really fun to try to do, to act without saying any words. And so, I loved it. I actually really, really liked it. Now, it didn't take hindsight for me to realize that what I was doing was absolutely stupid. I was aware in the moment that
walk me
being
through.
a mime is weird, and then Bibling up being a mime is double weird. I was aware that at the time, well, this is batshit crazy what I'm doing, but I did enjoy it. It was a lot of fun.
Okay, so I guess my next question would be, so just walk me through a typical, let's say you have a performance, you're street preaching at 7 p.m. tonight.
Okay.
What is your day like, and what is your night like?
Okay, so it's what is it? It's a Sunday. Let's say yeah. So I would just not do anything during the day. It was the same as preparing for any kind of performance. You just don't do anything the day of, or you do because you have to, and then about 2 hours before it's time to get started, you sit down and think through all the things you're going to do, and then you spend about 40 minutes doing makeup.
Okay. What are the things you're going to do, though? Do you have a routine when you're doing this?
Yes. You have a routine.
Okay.
We did a lot of our stuff was real simple because we were mostly beginners, and then people who had been doing it a while would do things that were a little more complicated. But there would basically be music playing, and it would be like a music video, almost like a live music video, rather than creating. We did mime stuff too. We did just regular street mime stuff.
Yeah.
And try to communicate with people and like tell the story of Jesus and all of that.
Dude, okay. I don't even know what to ask right now. How, I guess, how, or like how, yeah.
Well, I mean, you do it like you're starting a conversation, but you just start a larger conversation. So like if I'm asking you if I'm a mime and I'm asking you, are you saved? Then, there are things, you put your arms up like you're on a cross. You can make it obvious that you're pretending to be Jesus for a second. Like you just are like,
That's okay. So I guess my next question.
and then
I
people
think
are
it's
like, get out of my face. And you're like,
yeah, that's what I want. Okay, so
Yeah.
so
How do
many-
you deal with it when people are like, fuck the fuck off?
Who likes this? For one, like who like sees this and like
Oh,
this
I
is
see what
how
you're
this
saying.
is how I am saved.
So
It's
you're
like-
asking me whether this is an effective form?
Yeah, I
of-
guess that's what I'm
absolutely not. I never one time in like 2 years of doing this, I never one time saw one person on the street affected in a positive way by our. I mean, people had fun. People would stop and make fun of us and have some fun doing that. Or then sometimes people would be genuinely like, "Oh, that was really sweet," or whatever.
Yeah.
But I never like led someone to Christ in that scenario.
I feel like I just like can't imagine like this is the
No.
medium to like
No. And even at the time, I was taking my faith very seriously. But even at the time, no, I had no illusions that we were doing the good work. Like nothing was changing because of our actions.
okay. So I don't know. I don't know where to lead. I'm not trying to lead you that much. I definitely want you to just say what you feel about this particular subject.
Well, okay. So I think the thing that's interesting, about this period in my life is that it is the only time that I've ever been to Mardi Gras.
Okay.
I went as a Christian.
Yeah,
mime.
this is
okay.
okay.
That's the only time I've ever been to Mardi Gras.
Okay, so I met Brad. I was like 23 years old. How old were you?
Do we really want to? I don't know.
I don't remember.
How old are you right now?
I'm 36 years old now.
I'm 43 right now.
Okay, so if
So
we do
when
the math, you
I was
were
33.
33. You're younger than I am now.
Yeah.
Jesus, I'm old. I'm as old as Brad was when he told me this story for the first time. So when I first started doing comedy, I met Brad. He's one of the cooler people in the city. I was talking to my friend Leah Kajanian, who we also like came up with on Friday, and we were talking about how shitty people are and like all this like shit that happens with comedians and how shitty comedians are in general.
Yeah.
And I remember when I started doing comedy, I thought we were shitty people.
Right.
But turns out we're just mediocre people.
That's right.
Which is nice. And I'm spoiled because I know guys like Brad, who is also a very mediocre person.
Sure.
And
All very fair.
it's been really like, I don't know, like, and this is one of the funny stories he told me during this really formative time in my life.
Yeah, so that's the only time I've ever been to Mardi Gras. It was as a Christian mime. And it was difficult because I had lived, like, up until the time I was 16, and that sounds ridiculous, but I really did, party my ass off from 13 to 16. Like, when I was 13 years old, I drank my first beer, had sex for the first time, and smoked my first joint. Like,
Yeah.
big year, banner year for BradChad.
Yeah, that's like me at 34.
But so that kicked off 3 years of absolute debauchery, of me just doing every dumb thing I could get my hands on.
Yeah.
To the point where when I was 16 and started going to church, I kind of needed it. Like, something needed to step in
Yeah.
and stop me from going down the road I was going down.
Yeah.
You know, when I turned 16, we were doing things like getting smashed and then like surfing in the back of the truck, driving down dirt roads,
Like your Teen Wolf? Like,
real stereotypical dumbass 90s kid bullshit. like dangerous for no reason. Like, no, there's no payoff here. There's no benefit to the shit we would do. But it was a lot of drugs and a lot of alcohol, and so like when I got to 16, somebody needed to hit pause. And it took a little while. Like, it took, when I was 17 or so. It took me a year or so to, like, I didn't come to a screeching halt being a stupid asshole. I kind of slowed it down and then kind of changed my life around. And then, sort of lived through the end of high school and through college as kind of a reasonable person.
Yeah. I got to meet this girl. I don't know.
But, injected a bunch of Bible shit in there.
Yeah.
So, Mardi Gras, there was a lot, like, Like, I was not uncomfortable being around drunk people. It was very difficult for me to walk around at Mardi Gras with beer and tits everywhere and behave myself. Like, it was kind of a constant struggle the whole trip for me to, like, I'm an adult. I can just leave. I could just walk away from the people that I came here with and find a ride home. Like, this is dumb. What I'm doing is stupid. And like every minute that I was there was me going, why am I a Christian mime? You know what I mean? Like, every minute that I was there, I was like, I could just not do this.
Yeah.
But I kept kind of, holding my shit together and saw it as like an act of faith and like tried to take it really seriously. And I had this partner who was like she must have been, I don't know, she must have been 60.
Yeah.
So I'm walking around in mime makeup with a black sold out Christian mime t-shirt.
Is it tight? You just
It's
Brad.
very tight.
People can't see me right now. See Brad right now. He just kind of made a motion that it was tight.
It was a tight shirt.
Rubbed his belly.
That's right. It was a tight shirt. And I was just walking around with this like 60-year-old black woman who wasn't a mime, but was there to like make sure. I honestly believe her purpose was to make sure I didn't just wander off, get shit hammered, and then find a ride home. I think that her whole reason for being. And so I would go out and she would kind of be there and she would help like gather a crowd when I would start to do my thing or whatever. And we would just go out there and do the thing. And we had these little, they call them tracts, TRACT, the little gospel, are you saved? Read this.
Yeah.
That'll do it. And I just kind of made it my, I don't know. It's kind of like every day, I just spent the whole day fighting the urge to leave this woman behind somewhere.
Wait, how long were you there?
So let's see. I would have been there. We would have gotten there the Saturday before and then left on the Thursday after.
So you're in New Orleans for like...
From Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Fat Tuesday, Wednesday, and then we left on Thursday.
Oh, man, that's a lot of temptation, bro.
It is. It absolutely was. It absolutely was. And it was just, because Bourbon Street on Fat Tuesday is a disgusting blur of piss and vomit and drunk assholes and beads and tits and actual booze. And I don't know. I mean, I feel like I was the only one, me and Shirley or whatever are the only ones experiencing this sober at all. Like Mardi Gras is super fun, but doing it sober is a fucking drag. Like,
yeah.
It's just, you know how it is when you're the only sober one and your friends are all drunk, and it's just like, I love these guys, but get me the fuck out of here.
Yeah, that's
This is
usually
terrible.
why I get drunk really fast, because I don't like being the sober
The
one.
sober one. But yeah, so it was a real fucking drag. It was and it was hard to not. And I snuck away a bunch. Like over the course of the week, I would get as far as sneaking away from Shirley, and then make the choice to let her find me instead of get shit hammered and find a way home.
Oh, that's kind of weirdly aware of how you felt back then.
I was very everything was so on purpose.
Yeah,
Because I was fucking sober at Mardi Gras. Everything is deliberate because you're at Mardi Gras sober.
What'd you see?
I mean, I saw the parade, which was badass. And it was weird because I had I had a 60-year-old black lady in my ear all night telling me how awful all of this stuff was. And in my head, I'm like, this is the best thing I've ever seen. This is fucking great times, and you're wrong. Shirley. Sorry. The food was incredible. I remember the first thing that they did when we got there was the people of the church that brought us in to do it were like, they gave us, like, I had red beans and rice, but like, a plate of rice covered in like a plate of beans and like a whole sausage.
I don't think I've ever had that. So
Just phenomenal food. Like that was the first thing that happened when I was in New Orleans was I had red beans and rice cooked by an old Cajun man who gave his life to Jesus at some point. It was the fucking best. And then
it's just challenges for the rest of the
day. And then it was just yes. It was one moral.
Here's a nice meal. You're gonna need it to get through all these challenges.
to get through this obstacle course of moral chaos in front of you. And the sort of all comes to a head. And I remember being super depressed this night. And it's one of those things that I look back on in that period of my life and think, you know what? It was obvious that I was kind of denying who I was to try to do this thing, to try to be this person.
Yeah.
Because I was just crestfallen. I had snuck away from Shirley, and it's on Fat Tuesday, so it's on Mardi, like on the day, and I had snuck away from Shirley. And people were just getting shit hammered, and a guy handed me a beer, and I was like, I'm gonna drink this beer probably.
This is the last day?
This is the day of Mardi Gras.
Okay.
So it's like we were there for an extra day after that, but basically slept in.
Yeah, this is the penultimate day.
Yeah. This is like
the climax.
Yes, this is it. This is the moment of truth, right before the climax. And so I'm standing there, and I take a drink of the beer, and I'm like, this is all right. Like, this would be good. I should have done my life wrong.
So wait, how long had it been since you had a beer? Right.
I was probably 17 the last time. And at this point, I'm probably, I would have been almost 20. I might have been 20.
So that's a long time.
It had been a while. Yeah, it had been a while. And so I was enjoying it. And I caught Shirley out of the corner of my eye, and I was like, fuck you, Shirley. And so I kept stepping around a corner, just kind of keeping myself at arm's length from Shirley so that before she saw me. And this lady comes up. Well, first of all, a guy comes up and just barfs what looked like Pepto-Bismol. I don't know what he had gotten into, but it was very pink. Oh, it was bad. It was very pink and very thick, like very viscous, very it wasn't like, it was like thick. It was, I don't know how else to say it.
He went to the McDonald's factory and a bunch of chicken McNugget sludge before it was cooked.
That's what it looked like. It looked like the pre-cooked McNugget sludge. That pink, lardy kind of foamy gross. Anyway, so I'm like, that happens and it hits me like, oh, this is real. Like, this is, all right, we're partying. Now I'm partying. So it's kind of the thing that makes me decide, all right, I'm off the wagon. Let's do this.
Yeah.
I'm fucking doing this. We're going to fucking party. And I'm sort of making these choices as this lady comes up. And I mean, I know this sound
wait, so what else do you do before this lady comes up? I
finish this beer. I get thrown up on. I start planning my next move. How do I ditch Shirley for good? I start making decisions about what's next. I'm going to go down Bourbon Street. I'm going to, I caught a couple of bars that I wanted to hit. I was starting to plan my day. And this lady comes up, and it's easy for me to say now, but I, honest to God, just thinking back on it, just remembering right now, the hottest woman I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah.
The most beautiful woman that I've seen with my actual eyes, in real life. And she's dressed all goth and weird. And
that's my favorite.
That was super hot.
I sound like a fucking asshole, but I've noticed a lot of the people I'm attracted to are pretty gothy.
Goth.
I don't know why.
That's the thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know why, honestly, but they're cool.
Well, and I had never, that had never been my thing, but it was very much my thing in that moment. It's one of those things where I didn't know I liked that, but I like that a lot. This is making me super happy.
Maybe it's because you're dressed up like the Crow. and
I think maybe she thought that was what this was, because I'm sure she wasn't approaching a Christian mime. I'm sure she wasn't let me go convert this Christian mime to the dark side. She comes over and she's wearing this super low-cut dress. I mean, just the most beautiful woman I've ever seen in real life. To this day.
You can't see this right now, but Brad just has his palms pushed out from his chest, and he's like kind of emphatically just kind of like punctuating this point.
I'm a 43-year-old man, and I've never seen before or since a more beautiful woman in real life. And she just comes up to me and starts chatting me up immediately. Like, there's no weirdness, no small talk, just, hey, you look like fun, let's party.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yes, let's do. And I'm just jumping in, and she's just like, no, not asking me questions, just starts telling me what we're going to do. We're going to go get some food from over here, because if I don't eat soon, I'm going to throw up. And when we're done there, we're going to walk across the street, and we're going to go to that Irish pub, and we're going to drink a bunch of green beer. And then when we're done with that, we're going to go, like, just is explaining to me the plans. And I was just nodding affirmatively, like, yep. Definitely. And that's when Shirley, that stupid asshole, that horrible, wonderful, beautiful, probably saintly woman, comes around the corner and just grabs me by the arm and is like, we're supposed to be, over on whatever corner handing out these gospel tracts. And the look on beautiful lady's face, like just the look of, like, at first surprise and then, like, recognition. Like, oh, how didn't I see what you were? And then she just looked at me with this just disappointed, it just, surprise, recognition, disappointment. But, like, a disappointment like your mother looks at you when she finds out for the first time you had sex before you were married. You know what I mean? Just like, oh.
So how long did you get this? How long of a time did you get to spend with this woman before you were interrupted?
A minute and 58 seconds.
You spent 2 minutes with her?
Like almost 2 minutes.
What?
It all happened so fast. But in the moment, like it felt like 30 minutes. It felt like we were old friends. It felt like I would just. The heartbreak I felt after was as if I had spent 2 years dating this woman. And we broke up after 2 years. That's the heartbreak I felt when this was over. Because Shirley comes over, ruins everything, and then this lady looks at me and she's like, oh, you're one of those? Like, just couldn't compute what she was dealing with. And she was like, you have no idea what you missed out on tonight. And walked away. That's exactly what she said to me. You have no idea what you missed out on tonight. And I was devastated. And I couldn't like say to Shirley the things I thought, because she's a perfectly lovely woman, and she's probably a saint. I mean, she's probably saved people's lives. She's a wonderful woman.
She's probably trying to save yours.
I couldn't have hated her more. Like I couldn't, the anger that burned inside of me as I fell asleep that night at Shirley and her stupid face. I just wanted to fall into a fire. I hate that lady. But yeah, that was it. That was my trip to Mardi Gras. It was whiffing with some hot lady because I was there as a Christian mime. Okay,
so epilogue. Take me through the next couple weeks. Did you quit after that, or like?
That was close to the end. It was me realizing that I did not belong in that world. Like I stayed. I continued to study, and I went on to be a minister. But I was like, you know what? This is not my milieu. This is not where I fit in. I don't niche here. And so it took me several years to sort of give up on the idea of organized religion. Like several years. That would have been in like 1998. Yeah, it would have been like in 1998. And it would be 2004 before I would leave the church.
Jeez. Okay. Well, that's the story that I wanted. So that's the story that we got. We can chop it up for a little bit more, or how do you feel?
I'm up for whatever. I'm with you, man.
Let's chop it up after.
What am I gonna do? I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go home and lay on my side some more.
Okay. What else do you want to tell these folks before we chop it up?
Well, I mean, I think the sooner that you can be honest with yourself about who you are, the better. I think what I learned in that whole thing, it was only part of a lesson because it would take me years more to sort of figure it out. I got to 2004, and I realized I don't know a single person in whose life organized religion has had a net positive effect.
My mom. Boom. This is just
Maybe.
been a trap to like tell you this story and then throw this information. My mom.
I'm sure that they exist. I just know that I didn't, like, the people who were good people before the church, and they just were good with the church.
Yeah.
And then the people who were bad people, they were bad when they came in, they were bad in it.
Yeah.
And then we would do these horrible things like save somebody from the streets, pull somebody, out of homelessness and get them clean off of drugs and then turn them into a racist and a homophobe.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I don't know how many people I can point to. I can't think of a single person over the 12 years of ministry in whose life organized religion had a net positive effect.
Yeah.
Where it took a bad person and made them good.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of good people who were good in this also. I saw a lot of bad people who didn't change. And then I saw a lot of people who changed but got packed with a whole bunch of extra baggage they didn't have before they started.
Yeah.
And, I think I left bitter and I left kind of angry. But I could have used this moment to realize this isn't who I am.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that people should put themselves through this to come up with a better way to live, and it's not working for me. And I'm not. That's not. This isn't the life I'm meant to lead.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
So I think the lesson here is take that lesson early. Take that lesson when it comes up.
Yeah.
If you are heartbroken, crestfallen, bitterly depressed because you didn't get to bang a hot lady at Mardi Gras, maybe don't be at Mardi Gras as a Christian mime. It's probably not a great idea. You're probably not ready for that. That's not where you are in your life.
Okay, everybody. Thank you guys for listening to my friend BradChad Porter. My name is James Nim. Come back to this YouTube channel and check out some more stories. It's going to be, I used to be for a little bit. I got a lot of good guests coming up. So thank you guys for listening. Peace.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah.